In today's jazz guitar lesson, I want to share with you 5 turnarounds that you can use in the key of E flat major. Now I think most guitarists probably first encounter turnarounds when playing blues guitar, so you know, the turnaround that you get in the last couple bars. In a jazz context, it's also a very, very important chord progression. It's one of the building blocks of jazz and it takes on many different forms. It's a fundamental in the chord changes of rhythm changes, and it's also often used as an intro. And the most common turnaround would be the 1-6-2-5, and what that is, if you take, say, the key of C major, you take the first chord C major 7, chord 6 A minor 7, chord 2 D minor 7, chord G7. There's your turnaround, usually with 2 beats on each chord. Lots of those chords can be subbed out and the chord quality can be changed, and we're going to do some of that today. But I picked the key of E flat because that is a very common key for playing jazz, because it's a very comfortable key for brass players. And if we translate that to E key of E flat major, we'd have the following chords: chord 1 E flat major 7, chord 6 C minor 7, chord 2 F minor 7, and chord 5 B flat 7. Putting that in its basic form, we might play it like this. We could strum that. So that example went E flat major 7, C minor 7, F minor 7, B flat 7. That's your basic turnaround in E flat. But it could be much more interesting, and the other 4 examples are going to build upon that. But that's our start point. So how I've changed that is I've added extensions, added a lot of nights, and on the B flat I've done something a bit different too. So we've got an E flat major 9, that's got an F on the top, and then we've gone to C minor 7 as normal, but I played it into a different place than the first way, and then F minor 9 instead of F minor 7, and then because it's a dominant and it can take a bit more tension, we've gone from B flat 7 to B flat 7 sharp 5. And it's learning to hear the top line on these to be able to use them. And the top line on this one goes like this. I like that because there's a symmetry between the first pairs of chords. So on the E flat major 9 to C minor 7, it went F on the top down to an E flat, so that's a tone going down. And then F minor 9 on the top, it has a G, goes down a tone to the B flat 7 to an F. And then we go up a semitone to the sharp 5, that's the note on the top of the B flat 7 sharp 5 chord, which is a G flat, F sharp, which leads perfectly a semitone up to a G, which is the major third of the 1 chord, because when you play turnarounds it's pretty common, you know, at the end to go back to the 1 chord where we started. Now in this third example, things get more interesting with additional other extensions and also inversions. So we start out on the regular 1 chord, E flat major 7, nothing interesting happening there. But in the second chord, I've actually subbed the quality from minor 7 to dominant. And this is effectively a secondary dominant. C7 is the dominant in the key of F and F minor. So that will lead us in a stronger pull, if you like, to the 2 chord, to F minor. Not only have we changed it from C minor 7 to C7, we've not got the root in the bass, we've got an E in the bass, the third. So that way we get a chromatic bass line going E flat, upper semitone to E, and I like that movement. But there's also additional extensions, more tense extensions. We've got the flat 9 and the sharp 5, with the sharp 5 being on top. Then leads us into F minor 7 with the 7th in the bass, with E flat in the bass. Now you might recognise that chord shape as an E flat 6 and think, oh, but that's a major 6 chord shape. You know, I recognise that. you wouldn't be wrong. That is also A flat 6. F minor 7 and A flat 6 share exactly the same notes. But here what we're using is F minor 7 with the 7th in the bass, so it sounds a little bit more interesting. And then we're going to go down in the bass, a semitone to a D, from an E flat to a D, so it's that chromatic bass again. And this is exactly the same chord type as the C 7 I just used. So it's got the 3rd in the bass D, and it's also got the flat 9 and the sharp 5. And like in the second example, the sharp 5, a G flat, F sharp, leads perfectly up to a G, the 3rd of the 1 chord. Here's example 4, where we introduce a rhythm and a bit of a moving melody. So I'm using an 8th note rhythm there, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and so this would be great as an intro maybe to a ballad, and I think it just establishes the tempo well for when you're playing with other people. So you could use it at the start of, I don't know, The Man I Love, or These Foolish Things would be 2 good songs in this, regularly played in E flat. In this example though, there's the melody. Not only have we got the rhythm on the first chord, it's going from an F to a G, from the 9th to the 3rd, and then on the C minor we're going from the 9th to the 3rd. And then on the F minor, we're going down from the root F down to the 7th E flat. And on the B flat, there's more of a chromatic melody. We're going from the 3rd, a D, walking up to an F. And then we finish on E flat major 7. In this final example, we've got some chord substitutions. Here it is. So the first chord is not E flat major 7 or E flat major 9 even, or it could have E flat 6 or E flat 6 9. So what's going on there? One of the most common substitutions in jazz is to substitute chord 1 for chord 3. They are very strongly linked. If we took those 2 chords, E flat major 7 chord 1, G minor 7 chord 3, and compared the notes, E flat major 7 has E flat G, B flat D. G minor 7 has G, B flat, D and F. So they share 3 notes. And actually that F, if we had E flat major 9, that would be the 9th. So they're incredibly closely related, and as a result we can swap them for one another. So instead of using E flat major 7, I'm using chord 3, G minor 7. Then I'm going chromatically down to the what's called the flat 3 diminish, which leads perfectly chromatically down to our 2 chord, F minor 7, which then leads to another very common substitution. We've had B flat 7 in different guises for the previous examples. And what we're doing here is subbing it with its tritone substitution. So instead of using B flat, we're using E, and I'm voicing it as a 13th. So it's got the 7th, the 9th, and the 13 on the top in this example, which leads us perfectly down semitone, the tritone falling down to E flat. And one thing I would often do as an intro is say, use that 3 swapping for 1 in the repeat of this 1 6 2 5. So I might put 2 of these together like this. Now, if tritones is something you've not yet got your head around, then I've made a series of videos on that topic which breaks down everything you need to know. That's on the screen for you now. Thanks for tuning in. If you found today's video helpful, then please do leave a comment, hit the like button. Don't forget you can get the resources, the PDF with the tab and notation link in the description, as well as a link to my Patreon page. Thank you again for tuning in. I really appreciate you watching to the end, and until next time, you take care.